Madness Podcast! The best of the underground! Make madness your ritual!
Living me from myself. Look at that. Got to use it. It's been 2 weeks since I did a podcast, and you can really tell. That's just how it goes. Oh, your headphones are on either side of you right there if you want to throw those on. If not, I totally understand. Welcome. How's it going? Hopefully everybody's having a good evening. It is Friday evening. That just means that you're listening to Ritual Madness podcast. I appreciate you joining us. That song was so good. Some Perpetual Motion from Intrinsic's Event Horizon album. It was so good I had to restart it. No, you know me and my fumble fingers. Anybody who's watched this podcast knows or listened to this podcast, I have a tendency to battle with technology quite a bit. So if something flubs up or something, it happens. It's part of having fat fingers and stumbling and mumbling and doing all that good stuff. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Obviously, our guest here is the guys from Intrinsic. Do me a favor, check out Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective if you're looking to get tattooed anytime soon. Give them a call, 612-353-4755, 612-353-4755. If you've got an idea and you want to hit them up, send them an email, lowbrowsaints@gmail.com, and they're right over there in South Minneapolis. And good folks, fantastic artists over there. Go hit them up, get some tattoo work, look pretty and colorful. And I appreciate you for go in there, tell them that I sent you. Maybe they'll charge you a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much. Why don't you say your name and what you do in the band, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Wonderful. Oh, I'm James. I'm one of the guitarists in Intrinsic.
Well, welcome.
I'm Chris. I'm the other guitarist in Intrinsic.
Right. There you go. Both of you together. Awesome, man. Well, thank you guys for coming in. I know this. We tried to set one of these up like a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
I think it was like after one of the Medis, wasn't it? We were talking about it at the Medis or something.
Yeah, I think it was even
so. Yeah.
Pre-COVID. I'm assuming that.
Oh yeah, way pre-COVID. Yeah, and I don't know what happened. There must have been some sort of scheduling thing. I know that I took a good long break and kind of canceled a lot of things because of political climate in the world. You know what I mean? Just all the chaos of everything. I felt like I couldn't say anything positive. You know what I mean? It's like you just kind of you're flooded with all the nonsense between both sides of everything, and you want to punch yourself in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of crazy. But thank you for being patient and thanks for coming on. I appreciate it very much. Yeah. I had seen you guys on a flyer for the Fallujah show that we were just talking about, and it popped into my head. And then we were hitting you guys up to do a show at the Skyway, and it didn't end up working out. But we ended up booking the podcast, which is fantastic. Oh, yeah. And this album, the Event Horizon, you guys said you dropped it in December of this year, last year,
2021. Yeah,
2021. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it been going with it so far? Have you guys been getting good?
Oh, nothing but positive reviews. People have taken the time to listen to it and all that too.
Yeah.
We're getting more and more streams as time goes on too, and hoping for the best for it. We played a few shows now, and we're feeling good about it too.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's available on all streaming platforms as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I found it on iTunes, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I downloaded it because I was like, I should probably listen to this and see, how which direction you guys went. Because the last time I saw you guys at the Medis, you guys were heavy as balls, and I was blown away. I was just, holy shit, how have I not heard you guys before? You know what I mean? And that was Bill. Bill was one of those cats that I'm wearing a Metal Soda shirt right now, but we were on different spectrums of the music scene. You know what I mean? Like I had a lot of death metal things going on and thrash and whatever and kind of deathcore. And I don't know, what would you guys classify you guys as? What your music as?
I've thought about that a couple times. I mean, personally, I just call it progressive metal because I feel like that term, that phrase now, it's just become such an umbrella term, a catch-all for so many different things that you can just kind of there can be two opposite ends of the spectrum,
right?
Fallujah and Dream Theater, and you can just call both of those guys progressive metal.
That's true.
Nothing alike,
right?
So that just makes it easier.
Yeah.
People have been people who don't know about like metal, when I try to, family members or people that are just like, trying to be nice.
Is it like Metallica?
They'll say that, or they're like progressive metal. You just talk about like liberal stuff the whole entire time. I once said prog metal, and she was like prog, like in Europe, or I was like, no, that's not. No, okay, never mind. We'll end the conversation there.
Do you stop it there? Or do you try to, like lay it out for them, or what?
Like, or anyways, so
yeah. I hear you. That's fantastic, man. I mean, like, okay, so we kind of talked about this off the air, as far as like the shutdown of everything with COVID. How did you guys fare through all of that stuff? What was that like for you guys?
I mean, I thought it was just like a really difficult thing to do because we've had Event Horizon has been recorded since the middle of 2019. Like, it's been mixed and mastered and ready to be released since 2019.
Right.
And like we were gearing up, getting ready to like, get money set up so we could put music videos out there, merch, and like do a show. And by the time we were kind of getting ready towards making that planning happens when COVID happened. And we're like, well, we don't want to release an album during COVID. You know, we wanted to, if we're going to release this, we want to release it the right way.
Yeah.
Big ass show, a bunch of people there. We can't do that with the way things are being set up, at least back, when COVID first started.
Right.
So we've been sitting on it for a long time. I know many times where I've had to be like, all right, I know it's been, we want to get this out. We got to we have to wait a little bit. You know?
Yeah, that's tough too, man. I mean, when you got something so cool and you know what I mean? Like, you're ready to drop it. You're ready to let it go. And you're just, oh man, I want to just drop this on people, like a giant brick.
Right. I felt it the most from Chris over here. He was just anxious to get that out.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember that too. I was aching, man. I'll tell you, just straight aching to just release it. Honestly,
yeah.
I was just every time it was brought up in conversations, like, all right, what's the soonest we can release it? Come on, soon as no, and then, but then December came, and that was, we finally got it out there. We played what? Oh gosh, I'm blanking on when our release show was. Was it? When was that again?
It was like December 3rd or something like that. It was like the first Friday in December. Yeah, first week in December.
Where'd you guys do it at? The Caboose or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we had oh gosh, who was playing that? I think we had the lineup of
Agony Reigns, Motion Mosaic, and I feel like there was
we had Waste on the bill, but they had to drop. Wasn't that it?
Did it end up only being a 3-band show? I feel like there was somebody else. I'm gonna feel really bad if I don't remember who else was supposed to be on.
I want to say that the flyer was like black and red, wasn't it? For some odd reason, when you said Waste back then, for some odd reason, that flyer pops in my head.
I think we used the band artwork for the flyers.
Okay.
So it should have been like purple and yellowish.
Okay.
But yeah, Waste ended up having to drop. There's a complication between like their vocalist flying in from Canada or flying out, something like that. So there's like COVID restrictions they had to go through. But
yeah. They're still fighting a whole bunch of COVID restrictions up there, aren't they? In Canada, I thought they had like like some real strict stuff going on up there right now.
Right, and like they already have like decently strict, like I'm blanking on the terminology, but like crossing the border up there. I mean, like for example, if you've had a DUI,
you can't make it. Yeah, I think you can actually like apply for things now to where they'll like look past it for something, but I know you have to jump through a ton of hoops.
I don't know how true this is because I heard this from somebody that I don't talk to that much anymore, but they said that you have to like write a letter to the Queen to be able to get up into there. Like you have to like appeal yourself.
So what is his name? Justin Thoreau, or is that your prime minister or
Trudeau.
some shit like that? Trudeau, that's what it is. Yeah. Well, you said Queen, so I'm taking shots at Canada for no reason, Hey, Craig Rosensbeard says, killer song, by the way. Thank you, Craig, for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. There's 6 people watching from what I can see in the chat. Say hello to us if you can in the chat. These guys would love to answer the questions if you've got any questions for them. Thank you for joining us, like I said. Now, I like to ask my guests right from the very beginning, because this is something that always appeals to me. because I grew up in a really weird background when it comes to music. Like my mom listened to a lot of R&B, my uncles listened to a lot of like rock and roll. My grandparents, did country with like Kenny Rogers, and my great grandma, which I spent a lot of time with, watched Lawrence Welk. So that's like polka music and big band type of shit. So I'm all over the place. So my question to you guys is like, what was in your house at the time when you were growing up? What were your folks listening to? What were your brothers? What were your friends listening to? And what kind of pushed you towards the heavier side of music? And like, when did that happen?
Can I start?
Go ahead. I've talked
cool.
a lot.
All right, cool. So, growing up with a Hispanic mom, I'm not gonna lie, I listened to a lot of Tigres del Norte.
Yeah.
And like a lot of like cumbia and stuff like that. And like my oldest sister, she would listen to like that. She would listen to like Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
So then like, we'd also be listening to like Biggie and Tupac and like, a bunch of like those types of bands from like the like 90s and like thousands and stuff. And then my sister was all about like Justin Timberlake and all these other like, my middle sister, that is, sorry. Just bands like that, like a lot of like, I think she got me into like MCR and like, a little more like on the punk side of things.
Yeah.
But more specifically, I remember this dude was in the locker room in middle school, right? And like we're talking about bands, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like I like Metallica, like Judas Priest, like I'm all about it. Like Scorpions, hell yeah. And he's like, oh, so you're telling me you haven't heard of Avenged Sevenfold? And I was like, well, like at the time, like what? Like little 6th grade me, like, what are you talking about? Go home, look at it, instantly hooked. Bought their first 2 albums. First time I'm hearing like screaming and like music, and like, it was all uphill from there. It was all downhill from there. It was all good from there. I don't know, man.
I was on hill. It was awesome. That's all I know.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then
I always get those confused too. Is it really uphill? Because if it's uphill, it's kind of hard, right?
Yeah,
it goes. It's all downhill from there. Because what I mean. That's all.
Like, apparently, the idea of downhill was like you're going down. Like
yeah.
Like,
well, what do you mean? Did it suck from there?
I went down to the pits of music hell. So, like, where people are starting yelling at you for no reason.
I don't know, man. Like you put your car in coast and you get better gas mileage. So I feel like downhill is the preferred option.
That's the move.
That's the move.
Got gas in the tank.
Snowboard downhill. You drive downhill.
I heard the funniest shit today of what is it? God damn it, the TLC tune where he's like, or she's like, she don't want no scrubs hanging out the passenger side of your best friend's ride or whatever. Because of the gas prices being so high, that's no longer you're no longer frowned upon for doing that because you're actually saving gas money because you're in your friend's car or you're splitting the gas.
It's like a business move, it's a financial move.
I thought it was so fucking hilarious. I was like, that's actually a pretty good take on that.
We carpooled here, so that works out.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he owes me $500.
Premium, I'll tell you.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
What was that Futurama Al Gore thing? Like, this $100 will buy me 5 gallons of gas or something like that. I don't remember.
So with the Avenged Sevenfold, so that was like your first step towards something heavy. What was the next step after that? What was like your journey to find, the heavier, things? Was it just fucking all go after that?
It was. So like, I guess you would call it like the radio metal, if you will.
Sure.
Like a lot of that, because obviously you'd be able to. That was around I think the time when I really got deep into it. Nightmare hadn't been released yet, I think, or maybe had. It was somewhere in that like early teens, like the 12s or something like that. But anyway, afterwards it kind of went into like the whole metalcore thing. Back then it was like Bless the Fall, Asking Alexandria, a lot of these like. Looking back, I still like the music. I won't lie. I won't rip on it. I like those bands. But anyway, after that, it was like the heavy hit into like, I guess then is when I started going to more local shows too. But that's where it took the dive from like metalcore straight into, at the time, Gent and all these like prog bands that were just like, okay, Palm Mute and like sporadic, just that sporadic palm muted riffs and like stuff that got a little crazier kind of.
Now, were you playing? Was guitar your main instrument from that point? So you started playing a guitar right away.
Yeah, so I was playing guitar, in like elementary school. I think I started when I was like 10 years old. I started a couple years before that, but like I'd set it down, and then eventually, as I got bigger, I got a bigger guitar, and it
Right.
felt more comfortable. And like,
What was
started
your first
practicing more.
guitar?
My first guitar was a first act 3/4 scale acoustic. I still have it.
Nice.
The second one was like a Fender Strat, like just a blue Strat. So they had like the Strat packs that came
Yeah.
with the little amp and then
Yep.
whatever. So we got 2 of those. My sister got the just the plain old black one, and to not like get them confused, they had me pick out the one off the shelf, and they had a blue one. So hold on to that one for a while, but I ended up getting rid of it to get my Schecter, which I've actually still have. But yeah.
What's the rig you like to play on right now?
Oh gosh, my American Strats.
Yeah.
Hands down. Like they're probably my nicest. I got a deluxe USA Strat in like a transparent like teal green. And then I got another USA made like 90s regular Strat. But it was my old guitar instructor's.
Right.
So, you know, I
Has a lot of
sentimental value
Yeah.
to it for sure. Because like, you know, I was taking lessons through him, just, you know, like learning songs, learning some theory, you know, just whatever. And just most of the time when I was growing up, like I think I had been with him for, well, years anyway. And then one day he was, you know, he brought it in, he was like, yeah, you know, I'm looking to sell it. And there's, you know, $500. I was like, $500 for USA Strat? Like, I know this thing needs to be refretted and all that, but I couldn't say no.
Right.
It's like, all right, let me scrounge up all my lawn mowing pennies and
Right.
like, you know, let me do a couple extra chores around the house, you know, stuff like that.
Now amp wise, what were you using from the beginning to where you're at right now?
Oh goodness. Like I said, like that little, like a little Fender 20 watt
Yeah.
was like one of my first ones. Then it went into like the Spider. I think I had the Spider 2, Line 6 Spider 2, 212 combo amp.
Yeah.
Or like 116. I don't know what they had back then, honestly.
Probably like 210s or something.
Yeah, that sounds about
I
right.
have a buddy who used one of those Line 6 Spiders, and it sounded
It
fantastic.
was the red one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he threw down. I always thought his tone sounded pretty damn good. It was like, it wasn't a full stack or even a half stack, but it still sounded really, really good, you know, and he was playing well, so I didn't really give a shit what he was playing. It sounded cool.
Yeah,
you know?
compared to like a Metal Zone or a DS1 or
Right.
whatever that I had, it sounded brutal.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And then that's when I started progressing into like stacks and stuff. So for the longest time, I had the, the Line 6 Bogner Valve 100. I don't know what it's actually called. It's something like that, just like a tube amp.
Right.
Because like I was already in the Line 6, like, you know, they got their hooks in me. They got it done right away. I had a little pod for a while. I think I had a Pod XT when I first joined the band. And you know, just running it through there. Since then, I have a Helix now that I just run through a half stack in like a power amp setting, just for the actual rig itself, and this all goes through the Helix. But that was a more recent purchase. That was in the last like year and a half, 2 years, I think.
Now, that's kind of one of those things that it's quite a learning curve, isn't it? With the Helix, you can like really fucking tune things in, can't you?
Oh yeah, but it's like it's just ridiculously user friendly. I had the HD 400 before this.
Okay.
That I was running through the same rig that I got now. Basically, just change pedal boards at this point. But you know, I mean, I've just been able to get better and better tone the more that I mess with it, and it's just like you just said actually. So like, it like for not knowing what a lot of the knobs do, like just having like the ease of just looking it up or just just figuring it out. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's fucking great when you can, you know, start to learn. I've met so many guitar players and bass players that have no clue what they're doing. They're like, yeah, plug it in. This sounds cool. You know what I mean? To like fine tune something like that would be, you know,
Trust
a
me,
job
Alex,
in its own.
I'm still there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's, you know, if it's got all that potential, you're just going to grow into it even more. You know what I mean? They'll come out with a new one and you'll be like, fuck, I got to go right back to where I was. And just that whole learning curve all over. Well, I've got, oh, they had that in the last one. Oh, yeah, okay. You know, and it's like the super jump. You get to that one where you're, all right, I'm almost there, you know, this super learning curve. How about yourself? What were you listening to as a kid? What kind of pushed you in that direction? And we can go towards the gear stuff.
Man, I mean, so my parents were listening to like the Beatles a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And
Old school rock.
Old school rock. Yeah, it was like a bunch of classic rocks like Beatles, Rolling Stones, Creedence Clearwater Revival. I don't know why it's like a tongue twister
Yeah.
for me.
CCR.
CCR. There you go. Yeah. Abbreviations only from here on out. Yeah, I mean stuff like that. They listened to some folk. I'm not a folk fan to be honest. Not even today.
Hey, Matt Taylor, how's it going? Sean Jensen, what's happening? Any influences from the event Horizon the movie?
No. Yeah, that was. We've been asked it a couple times. I've watched it since, and it's one of those movies. It's like it's so bad, it's fun to watch. You know what I mean? Like it's not a good movie, but it's like this is entertaining. Like
Right.
Blood Eagle scene or dudes are just getting like eviscerated
Yep,
and shit
yep,
like that. You're like, wow, that's brutal.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just kind of looked over and seen people saying what's up. So.
Oh no, and that's I'm all about it.
Smoke them while you got them right there.
No, yeah. And, it's funny too. So my brother listens to currently a lot of like new wave 80s stuff, so like Police or like Tears for Fears and that kind of stuff. And like back then, we used to give him shit for it. We were like, this is this is goofy stuff. Like he would unironically listen to Rick Astley and like Never Gonna Give You Up. You know? Now it's like, man, these are bangers. What am I talking about? You know, like the songs from The Big Chair by Tears for Fears. It's an awesome album.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
all shit I grew up on. That's so funny.
Hell yeah, the good stuff. I don't really know how I got into metal. My guess is like I just kind of took like baby steps in terms of like aggressive music. So you start off like, you know, second grade was like Green Day for me.
Okay.
You know, and then it was like Sum 41 and Taking Back Sunday.
So you're just progressively getting heavier and heavier.
Progressively getting more angsty.
More angst. I think it's angsty, yeah. You had like that like awkward 3 days grace phase and you don't like to tell people about.
Yeah.
And then there's like Bullet for My Valentine. I think what like the biggest
that shit's on the internet now, man. Everyone
hears it. Oh god, they're gonna go back and be like, all right, there, we got the receipts.
In his music, man. I hear it. Yeah.
You know, I had Avenged Sevenfold too when I was in 7th grade. Is when I first started listening to them, and I think like 8th grade is when I first started listening to metal that like I think aimed to be artistic is a way you could put it.
Sure.
So you know, you have like Tool, Mastodon was the big one for me at that time. Just fat riffs, just dumb thick like double XL riffs.
Now, do you like their progression of where they are now, or do you appreciate their older stuff more? Mastodon.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to listen to their new album yet. I've heard a single from it. I thought it was sick as hell. Mm-hmm. The only album that I haven't been like crazy about in their lineup was Once More Around the Sun, because they had a couple songs on there where they're a little bit too radio for me, but. I loved, what is it, Sand Emperor, the one before that, with like the dude in like the skeleton armor and whatnot.
Okay.
My favorite is still Crack the Sky. That's just like their most proggy album, and the song Oblivion got me into them, so that has a special place in my heart, and I still love that album to this day.
Nice. I had seen them a bunch of times, like when they were coming up, like live early, you know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, these guys are okay, you know. And it was like it took the third time of seeing them live. I'm just going, these guys are really, really badass, you know. Yeah. And it grew on me more and more and more, you know. I don't know. It's weird with me, like throughout my time with music, it's like I would have friends who are really they put things on shelves, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is the best album, and you get it, right? And you listen to it, and it doesn't catch you right away. And you shelve it for a little while, and then all of a sudden you're at a party, and somebody goes, dude, you know what we should listen to? And they pop it in, and you go, why does that sound so fucking familiar? And then all of a sudden you just catch it. You're like, oh, I got that album at home. You go home and you listen to them deep tracks, and you go back to those friends and go, why did I not get this before? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So now, were you playing guitar at an early age like him as well?
Yeah. So I started when I was 6. And the first guitar I got, I'm pretty sure I like pulled a Who and just broke it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't even think I played it. Like I didn't receive a lesson yet. I was like, yeah, bam.
Yeah.
Parents didn't take to that too fondly.
Yeah. They usually appreciate that a lot.
What are you talking about? That's how you play guitar. You destroy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to be the next Pete Townsend. Can he play? Fuck no, but he'll break some shit.
Yeah. So like I was taking lessons on and off for a couple years, and then 3rd grade is when I got my first electric guitar. I was like a Yamaha something, some shitty guitar, and I had like a little orange combo amp that was like the size of my stomach. You know what I mean? Like, it was tiny.
Yeah.
And used that for a while up until about like 7th, 8th grade. I got a like a Line 6 Spider 3, another just like a larger combo amp, and was like, wow, dude, you just got all these like crazy presets.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
This is insane.
I was gonna say this distortion knob goes to insane, dude. Like, no, I was hanging out with that for a while. Then obviously, you kind of hit a point where you're like, all right, this is not enough for me. I need a little bit more juice. I need a little gas in the tank going. So I upgraded to an Egnator amp. It was a head in 2x12.
Okay.
And I don't remember what version of it, but it was all right. Like you had to put, I put an Ibanez distortion pedal in front of it just to give it the bite that I needed.
Yeah,
It did the trick for a while, but when I graduated high school, I had at that point I have been having my eyes on getting a Kemper, so just like a profiling amp, kind of similar to what Chris has in the Line 6.
I'm familiar with the Kemper because I have a friend, Rob Carlson, that uses Kemper, and everybody else gives him such a hard time about it because it's so different than everything else. You know what I mean? Like you can fine tune it to. I mean, he's told me that he's got 3 or 4 different settings that he's like, I've got this to sound like this particular amp, this one to sound like this one, and he's just all presets for him.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you don't know what real tone is. That's not real. They give each other shit a lot.
Yeah.
The old guys who have used Mesa and Ampeg and you know what I mean, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I always found that to be funny. I mean, I don't know if it's a feel thing, you know, like 'cause I've used tube amps before and I've used this now, and like if you do a blind test, you're not going to hear a difference between the two of them, especially because like like Axe Effects, they create their patches by like it's digital, like it's all just like code, and then figure out how to make it work and sound authentic. With Kemper, you're literally plugging in a microphone and then stealing the sound from an amp. Like so all these patches that we're getting, they're done organically.
Steel Corner 27 says Kemper is the way. Damn, are you
yes, it is.
Are you fucking Mandalorian over there or what? Mandalorian Kemper guitar player over there?
This is the way.
This is the way.
7 people in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us again. If you have any questions at all, throw them in the chat here, and I will definitely throw them at these fellas. Again, thank you for joining us. So when did you guys come together as the Voltron to make this band happen? Yeah, you said something about the band having a different name prior to Intrinsic, and how did you guys hook up?
Yeah, I mean, you want me to kind of start?
You kind of have to start because you were in the band before me.
Yeah,
so.
and then we'll kind of I'll let you talk a little bit more once we get to the point where you came in. But,
I gotta say a joke here. Somebody says Kemper. I barely knew her.
Good old dad jokes. Appreciate it here.
Hell yeah.
Keep them coming, please. Any more dad jokes? And
I asked my daughter this the other day. I said, "What's blue and not very heavy?" She said, "What?" I said, "Light blue." Dad joke like a motherfucker.
There you go.
That's exactly what she's. Oh, that was horrible. Yeah.
I get fired frequently from my work for telling bad jokes, so I totally get it. Like,
do they just fucking point at the door nowadays, or what?
Boss is just like, well, you're fired. Or the other frequent one, you can have a 5-day weekend, just don't come back.
That's good stuff right there, man.
Yeah, I usually just groan. I'm like, all right.
Man.
That's how you know they're good.
Yeah, the more groan you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'll come up with just the stupidest shit. My wife was like, "Did you just make that up?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was horrible." It's good stuff. Love it. Yeah.
So as far as like the beginning of the band goes, so it started off with 3 of us. It was myself, our old drummer Kara, and our mutual friend Dan. We met at I had met Dan at like a summer music camp, and he had known Kara previously. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of like acid reflux.
Yeah.
It's them salted nut bars. I'm telling you,
been there,
man.
done that. Dude.
Yeah.
Just sitting here, and you don't think that it's picking it up, and it's oh, sorry, you just had a lemon.
I drink nothing but citrus.
Right.
We didn't record anything together. You know, we went through a bunch of awful names as like, you know, first draft, second draft of the band name, and we eventually kind of pulled together some resources. We had a bass player named Ben. We eventually got Dallas in with us he went to my high school, and we met each other through an acquaintance.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, you listen to Animals as Leaders? And they were like, yeah, and this person, you know, Dallas also sings too. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. And I just hit him up on Facebook. I was like, so what's up, man? Like, you trying to come by for practice sometime? Like, what's going on? And that's where it went.
Really?
Yeah, it was very spontaneous, and I'm very happy for it because he's one of my best friends now. And from there, it was just like you kind of put pieces together from mutual friends. So it's like, you know, I know this person, Dallas knew this person, and we kind of all just brought people in, and then it was kind of this like shaky Jenga set of you know, band members.
Hoping it would all work out and you guys would all get to, you know what I mean? Like blend as people. Yeah.
We played our first show. It was myself, Kara, Dan, so the first three, Dallas, Ben, and then we had our buddy Mac. He wasn't in the band, but he did a guest spot as a saxophone player for the whole entire set, and that kind of like drew the attention of like the headlining bands. Like, oh shit, that guy's got a saxophone and playing metal. That's badass. That was cool. Dan had to go off to college, so immediately there was a member change. We brought in my buddy Henry. Henry had some stuff going on in his life, and eventually left, and that's where Chris came in. It was like December of 2014, January of 2015. We literally just put out a post being like, hey, you know, we have a spot open in a local band. You know, I don't even think did we have any music that we put out, or did we just say like, hey, we're a band looking for a guitar player, and then it was just from there? Do you recall?
You know, I think what I remember from that was something like you posted that you had music to send, or that you had like at least sheet music for sure, because, you know, obviously you'd sent me an audio recording to play along with. What was that track?
Clairvoyant,
yeah.
I picked the hardest song as the trial run. I was like, if he can play this, then he can play all the rest of the stuff, so we're good.
Yeah. So, okay, so a little bit of background, too. Before that, I was in high school, I had a couple buddies who we got together and were playing in a band with called Foundations. So just like some, you know, we had a 4-song EP, and, you know, it was just all... We produced it in some dude's... This is hilarious. It was like a room smaller than this one that we're in right now, that the dude literally lived in. He was renting out a studio space, and he had a blow-up air mattress. He parked his car outside, and he lived in his studio.
Wow.
And, like, we just found this guy on, like, Craigslist, Facebook, something like that. He was like, yeah, I do, like, metalcore bands. And, like, he played, like, prog at the time, too. So he was, like...
Wasn't it John Bartholomew?
John Bartholomew of a band called The Revealing.
Oh, wow.
And
Max used to play in that band.
Yeah, our old bassist Max used to play in that band, which is how I'd known to bring him in at a later point down the road. But, you know, that was all cool. We played a bunch of shows at, like, you know, the garage and stuff like that. But then after a while, we kind of had our differences, but me and myself, between the lead guitarist and whatever. And, you know, they're like, it was basically at the point where, like, all right, well, you're not in the band anymore, Chris. And it was, you know, okay, like, fine, whatever. I'm playing bass. Like, I'm not a bass player. I bought a bass to play in this band, and I've been playing guitar my whole life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I was kind of, like, reluctant anyway. But then about a year later, James had posted up saying, oh, yeah, you know, we're looking for a guitar player. And I was like, well, I want to be in a band. Like,
fuck bass.
Like, yeah, like, whatever. Like, bass is great. Like, I have a 6-string Washburn still. Like, I love playing bass. But, like, I was just itching to play guitar, too. Because, like, you know, I know that I could do more than what I was doing on bass, playing open strings in the first, like, 7 frets. So, you know, he had sent me that first track, and I was like, oh, God, like, hell. Like, you know, I'm trying to learn, like, I think at that point I was into, like, Steve Vai. So I was learning, like, some weird, like, you know, stuff from that. Like, I'd watch the Crossroads.
But your chops were still up there, right? You weren't like, if you're listening to Steve Vai and trying to figure out Steve Vai shit, it's not like that was easy to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that if he sent you the hardest shit, it was probably up there, but probably not like, no, I can't. I don't think I could do that.
I never
shit.
said I was good at it, dude. Are you kidding me? Like, whoa, hang on. You're thinking I'm like a virtuoso? No. So, like, you know, I was trying to learn stuff like that at the time. I was basically the way that I approached guitar and approached guitar back then too was like, how can I keep challenging myself, if you will?
Sure.
And like, you know, so I was trying to learn, you know, more and more stuff at that point. I think
how the fuck do you grow if you don't? You know what I'm saying?
I think at that point I had also, I was also listening to like Coheed and Cambria, which is just awesome, super proggy, super long songs, kind of shit like that.
Love that band.
And that kind of led down the road to like Dream Theater and stuff like that too, where it's like, fuck, 30-minute songs, hell yeah, you know what I mean? And like, so like having to learn that was like just ridiculous. Like I think it took me a week just to like actually get the song down to where I could almost play it all the way through. And like I was a nervous wreck. I think you had me sent like an audio recording or a video recording of me playing the song, and I was like sitting there nitpicking the whole time. Like I think I recorded that video probably like 20 times. Like, you know, just like I was like, I've never been good in front of a camera. I've tried to like post like videos of me like doing playthroughs on the internet, and like I suck at guitar. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh fuck, I fucked that up. Like I like to be a perfectionist when it comes to those kinds of things, which bites me sometimes, honestly. Yeah. It's like you know, sometimes, you know, content is key. But going back to it, you know, I sent out the video, and then, you know, he's like, yeah, sure. Like when you wanna join up, when you wanna meet or whatever. And I think we were practicing on a Sunday, and I had remembered that like there was a party the night before at my buddy's house, at the party house in Coon Rapids. I lived in Blaine, and like I just remember being stupid hungover that day. And like I was just,
you know, it's bad when someone says stupid hungover.
Like, yeah, I know, and I use that for a good reason, because literally I got there because like I grabbed my guitar, I grabbed my head, I was like, you know, like they'll probably have something for me to plug into, I'd assume, maybe, you know, like, so I didn't have like a cab, you know, I don't even know if I had a cable, to be honest with you. Like I don't remember if I had my instrument cable either, but like I don't even remember how we ended up doing it. But you know, then I met everybody and they liked me enough, and then I was able to keep coming back. So, you know, that was cool. But I hate that was like the first practice with the band. But at the same time, it's very in character. So.
Young man moves, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, very in character.
I've got lots to do tomorrow. 12-pack? Yeah, sounds good.
Grey Goose? Hell yeah, dude. Let's go.
Here, you guys keep talking. I have a bladder the size of
a
golf
ahead,
ball,
man.
so I'm going to take a quick...
go ahead, man. No problem
Train
at
does
all,
not
man.
stop.
No,
right,
no problem.
Out on us here. All right.
Yeah, you guys suck.
Yeah, so that was your first experience with meeting everybody and
first and absolutely failed experience. But like I said, they liked me enough.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Oh, James is over here just like, nope,
you're wrong. You're wrong,
I'm
man.
Stuck with them.
Yeah.
No, and after that, so after that, they'd had me like learn, of course, the rest of the material. I think at that time, once again, they were calling themselves Ori. We were calling ourselves Ori after I had joined the band, and we had I think it was a 5 or a 6 song EP. Like honestly, that was a while ago.
Kind of a blur. Yeah. I
haven't touched those songs in ages. I just went back to them like a month ago, actually.
Yeah.
And like I was just trying to remember all the riffs, and it's like, oh yeah, this is how that goes. Oh yeah, that's oh, that was sweet, you know. But I just remember it was in this little corner of a room. I can't remember the name of the venue either. It was like, I couldn't even tell you.
Where was it?
I think somewhere. It was in like I thought it was like a church building or something. I could be wrong, but maybe it was like in, I know it was in St. Paul for sure, dude. Like I said, I just don't know. That night was such, like, it wasn't necessarily a blur. It was just, there was so many things going on, you know? So it's like, I remember the show. I remember the bands. I have no clue where I parked.
The first show with these guys?
Yeah, the first show that I played with these guys. Because like he was mentioning, I joined in December. That's when that, you know, the first practice and all that other good stuff came around. Yeah. And then, of course, I smartened up and brought over a cab and a head and all that stuff.
Everything you needed.
Exactly, yeah. And, so we practiced for like about a month together, and then we had this show. And, you know, of course, first show, new band, everything, you know, I had to manually switch all my patches. I didn't have like a pedal board set up. Yeah. So it was a little rough, like whatever. Everybody still liked it. It still sounded good. Yeah. And it was all like local bands too. And I think, you know, think beforehand they were playing with like the Contortionist or something. What was like the first show you guys had at Skyway?
The first show was us, and then By the Thousands, and they were still like a they had a following, but they weren't like what they are now.
Sure.
It's crazy to see how far they've come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it was Intervals, and then the Contortionist. And
Oh, nice.
That was our first show. Like usually, I'm used to seeing or hearing about bands like their first local show is like, oh yeah, we like the semi-famous dudes in the local scene, we opened for them, and like we got the opportunity to play with like so to this day one of my inspirations. And I was always intimidated by that idea of just like, oh man, don't meet your heroes. Like this is gonna be crazy. I just assumed that we'd be like, the local guys, I'm not gonna hang out with them.
Right.
But it's not the case at all.
Yeah.
They're all just super cool.
So you're super lucky that way, though. You know what I mean? Because I've had a chance to meet a lot of people that I really enjoyed and horrible experiences. You know what I mean? Like meeting Slayer for the first time. You know what I mean? Like talking to Kerry King face to face. Handing him your demo tape. You know what I mean? In a promo pack. You know what I mean? Like talking to record stations, radio stations, and then talking to record people, and getting direct knowledge from them, going, yeah, you've got to have something in your promo pack that sticks out. You know what I mean? Like, this one chick told me one time, she goes, and this is way back, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have a promo pack that really sticks out. You've got to put your best 3-4 songs on there right away, but it's got to be the ones that just punch them right in the face from the very get-go. And she's like, there was a promo pack and she was talking about, I've got a stack of promos like this big, you know what I mean? And she goes, if there isn't something in that promo pack that sticks out, it either goes in the trash or it just goes in another pile to another A&R that will grab it. You know what I mean? Eventually somebody might hear it. But back then it was like, she goes, there was this band that put in this specific candy that I really liked, and it stuck out to me. So I actually ate the candy while I listened to their album, and I did end up, bringing them in for a showcase, and being able to meet some of your favorite people and they turn out to be assholes is one of the worst experiences ever, because now you're just like, you're torn, because I really enjoy these people. They're really super creative, but they are total fucking dicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Glenn Danzig, I was a huge, huge fan of Glenn Danzig for the longest time. Seen him a couple times. There was a sound guy at First Avenue I had played First Avenue since I was 17. So the first time I played the main stage, I was 17 years old. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When that curtain came up, I kissed the floor before that curtain came up. My guys in my band were like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, you seen the stars out in front of this building, right? You can't tell me that you don't admire somebody on that wall. You know what I'm saying? This is the stage they played on. This is what I'm doing. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, that was it. So when I saw Glenn Danzig giving this monitor guy shit, I was like, this dude is a real big dick, Mm-hmm. Then they came to the Caboose to play the Blackest of the Black with Marduk and Possessed. And my friend was doing security, and he said he just came in and basically looked at the room and said, fuck this place, jumped in his place. They had all their stuff unpacked, ready to go to set it all up. He walked in, didn't like the room, didn't like the sound system, got back in his bus and took off, but left everybody else to hold the bag. So everybody else, all the other bands, they gave everybody back their money for the tickets and just played the show. And it was awesome. It was fantastic. It was a great show. But every Danzig album that I had on my MP3 player went right to the trash can. And I haven't re-downloaded any of it since. And that was my experience with that. I was just like, wow, dude, this guy's a prick, Yeah. I mean, there's just been so many that I've met backstage that I'm just like, yeah, I don't like them guys anymore. Not a big fan. It sucks. Yeah. When you get to meet one that's really cool, I mean, Phil Anselmo's been a little demonized, since back in, whatever went on with him. And I met him in Dimebag like way back on Cowboys from Hell. You know what I mean? And I've still got Phil Anselmo ripped it out of his Rolodex, right? Out of his own little book that he had, and signed it for me, something as aggressive as hell. And then it was Dimebag that says, that brother, and they both signed it. And I still have that little piece of paper, but that is one of those things where you'll always remember it. I mean, my mom's boyfriend had a friend who was a sideline coach for the New Orleans Saints. That's where those guys are from, down south, Texas. Phil's from New Orleans, you know what I mean? I'm in the crowd with a sideline hat on, and he sees me, and he's like, gives me the horns, and I take my hat off and I throw it up to him. He puts it on and he wears it on stage. But not only that, he takes it off and throws it back like that shit's mine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I ran up to him and I'm like, dude, I know you're from New Orleans. I'm like, he's like, that's a sideline hat. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I need it back. And he's like, damn, I wanted to keep that hat. You know what I mean? Because it was only the coaches had it. You know what I mean? It was something that cool. So, yeah, I mean, those are some of the best experiences, and it drives you. It fuels you to, you know what I mean? And you're always going to remember that. And if somebody sees you guys play, you're going to be cool to them. And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of big people who get badgered for an autograph or anything, you know what I mean? Like, it gets sickening. It's got to get, you know, overwhelming, or, you know, at times where you're just like, dude, leave me the fuck alone. I'm trying to eat this taco. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna, you know, you'll be able to pass that. I just was able to, a good friend of mine from high school took her daughter to her very first concert. It was Luke Bryant, right? But this kid loves country, right? And the pictures that she took and put on Facebook, this kid's eyes were just, you know, her eyes were smiling. She was so happy, you know what I'm saying? And the only thing I could say is music is a gift, right? And when you share it with someone that you care about and you know what I mean? Like, they give you that gift, shit lasts forever, man. It's like finding that first heavy album. It may suck compared to where you're at right now, but you'll always cherish that first album that pushed you to the, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I was talking to my bass teacher, Paul Esch, and he was saying that, you know, a lot of people get stuck in that stuff that they listen to when they're just about to graduate high school or going into college. They stay in that realm of music. I could never do that, man. You know what I mean? There's just so much out there and so much cool shit. And I love to interview cats like you guys that are a bit younger than me that could possibly turn me on to something really, really cool, you know, like the Animals as Leaders, you know, like one of the other bands that I had interviewed brought that band up and brought them in. That's kind of how I used to do the format, was 14 songs of, you know, what fuels you, what drives you to create the stuff that you create. You know, with the YouTube stuff, you can't, you know, use a lot of national music that way, but it's like one of my favorite things is to hear new stuff. And that's the best way to do it, is, you know, pick other people's brains for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's fantastic, you know? Now, as you guys have been growing, as a unit with the band, you said you've changed some other members. Has it changed since you've been in the band, Chris? I mean, have you guys changed a few different members since then?
Yes, definitely. So when I had joined the band, the lineup was James, Dallas, Kara, our bassist at the time, Ben, and then myself.
And Taylor.
Oh, yeah, duh. Holy cow. When did Taylor join? That's a really good one. Taylor was our keyboardist, sorry.
Yeah. Taylor joined after our second show, so I think it was like 2 shows before you joined, I want to say. It was like October and you were December.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So then...
that was the lineup for a while.
Yeah, and then Ben went off to college, so he had to stop. Mm-hmm. And then we were looking for a bassist. For a little while, we found our second bassist, Nico Hasapopoulos, or Hoponpopoulos. I love that.
What did I call him? Oink Hippopotamus?
Oink Hippopotamus.
His first name is an anagram for oink, so I'm never going to let that go.
Yeah.
Nico Oink.
I forgot about that. Holy cow. No,
that's hilarious.
Super, super great bassist, though. Like, you know, so Ben had just, you know, he just used a pick and, you know, he was good, but Nico was like next level good at that. You know, he was into all different kinds of music. We all had like different like genres that we loved to talk, you know, with him and all that other thing. So again, college, Nico got absorbed into college, of course. I think didn't he go out to New York? Mm-hmm. Yeah, for college. And then he's been doing a bunch of music.
First it was Chicago, and then it was New York. But
okay, there you go. But he's been, you know, staying and doing a lot of music stuff on his own and stuff like that too. And he's still a great musician, you know. We still love him and all that other good stuff. No bad blood at all and all that. I think after that was when Taylor...
Max joined first.
Oh,
yeah, there was like 1 or 2 shows we played with Max.
Yeah, we had mentioned before John Bartholomew of The Revealing. I actually had met Max through John of his band when they were playing at Skyway with, I think it was either an Animals as Leader show or an After the Burial show,
Mm-hmm.
on the main stage, and they were like the opening band on the main stage, and they were awesome, like super super good. And now they're just not a thing anymore. But so
That's
of course
sad.
I know. Oh, I hate it. But then of course we were looking for another bassist after Nico left, so I was like, well, hey, there's this guy that doesn't seem to be in a band anymore. We could hit him up, see if he wants to join. Of course, being a bassist, has a lot on their plates too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, he was mostly there just for like shows and like practice performance. But, he had also made the mention that he wasn't going to be too much in the whole writing process of that. So we, obviously accepted that too. Like, it's enough for us that he was playing shows and stuff. That's the main part too. But at the same time, Max was also going to college and then pursuing his nursing career. So then, of course, he had to step aside for, I think he went full-time schooling too. I think that's 3 for 3 on basis,
right.
honestly.
Yeah.
Since then, we've been bassist-less. But then after that, we parted ways with our keyboardist as well. And then it became...
But Taylor ended up leaving before Max did.
Why am I telling this story? Why am I talking right now? No, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes my timeline is never correct.
Again, no. There's throughout all the band member changes, there hasn't been any bad blood, so it's all been like.
Right.
We just saw Taylor at our vocalist birthday party just the other day.
Yeah.
We're all still friends, and we all still see each other on a semi-regular basis, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, musicians, you can actually learn from these young cats too, by the way. Don't let the bad blood happen. It's just simple as that. I wish them good luck and be on with it, man. I mean, there's so much, you know what I mean? It starts riffs so bad, you know what I mean? That's kind of how the music scene gets a bad rap, as people just, that dude sucks. That dude's an ass. He couldn't do it. He couldn't cut it.
Yeah.
Right. Thankfully, that was never the case. And I don't. I got nothing to complain about. You know what I mean? Like, we're all just doing good. We know they're doing good. Taylor's still doing a bunch of music stuff too. Our old bassist Max is actually doing cover band stuff now that I think he's out of school. So he's still doing music, still making money.
Yeah.
All the other good stuff.
Still playing ski.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Actually, Kara also left before Max left. Too.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Holy moly. Yeah, that's right. So, well, you can continue on then. I'll just let you tell the rest of it.
Okay. Well, Kara kind of hit mostly, I would say, like a musical difference point. Like it didn't lead to any like squabbles. I think it just internally they kind of realized like, yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I'm ready to try something new. And so for like, I want to say for like 4 or 5 months during 2018, we didn't have a drummer. We gave 1 or 2 guys a tryout, didn't work out. And finally, we stumbled upon Aaron, our current drummer, again through Facebook. He posted a drum cover of him playing a song by Architects. And we're like, this dude can
shreds.
Yeah,
right.
We don't need to like. There's no like question marks going into like bringing him in for a rehearsal. You know what I mean? Like we're like, I know you can cut it. Just a matter of like, do you gel and like how well do you learn the stuff and how quickly, and clearly it has worked out in our benefit. So, so now we're just 4 dudes. It makes it easy in terms of coordination. Now, obviously, like a band as small as us, we don't make a lot of money. We make almost no money. So whenever we're doing like production, making CDs, making merch, making music videos, it's all almost out of pocket.
Right.
And so having fewer bandmates, the disadvantage in that regard is there's
less
less
capital to go.
Larger shares of the pie that you have to cut out. So that's been one thing. It would be we would be open, I think, to the idea of having a new bassist, but I think the issue is like we aren't actively searching for one, right? Because it's kind of like a let it come to you situation.
Well, there it is. Bass players, you heard it from these guys first, man. If you got the chops, give them a shout, man. I mean, it's worth a shot.
This was all just an ad to look for a bassist.
Yeah.
No, we're not looking. We are, but we're not.
We're not.
Please.
Because
please.
Like,
that was the Jedi trick right there. You're not the bass player we're looking for.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is the way.
Yeah.
And there's the door.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we're at a point too, because we're starting to write new music, and eventually we'll release new music, and it's like, in terms of writing, you can write a guitar riff and then just like tune it down an octave, and there's your bass riff, but somebody who's actually in tune with that instrument actually knows the ins and outs of it and can provide perspective from that end,
right?
You can create a lot more opportunities there. So that would be
deeper
cool.
rhythms, man.
Yeah, would be cool. But for whatever reason, bass players just want to go to college instead.
They just want to better themselves, man. They want to become guitar players at one time. You know what I'm saying?
Respectable citizens.
Right.
Gosh darn it. Contributors of society, get out of here.
So is it? Have you guys tweaked your sound to kind of fill that void that's there with your tones and everything? Has there been talks between both of you guys, because you don't play the same type of amps? Is there like one plays a different tone to where one has a deeper tone, or is there anything adjustments to that?
We have the best bassist right now.
Yeah.
The one that never fails, the one that always shows up.
Yeah.
The one that you just click and it plays.
Nice.
No, so we just put everything through tracks and stuff for bass, so it doesn't affect our tones or anything.
Who triggers it?
It's just, well, I mean, I guess you do technically. It's all through.
So we just create like a large Logic Pro file for whatever show we're doing, and we have the stems from every release that we've put out. So we just take the bass track from an album or the EP,
just paste it in and rip it.
And Bob's your
that's
uncle.
fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it makes things so easy.
Well, dude, there's been people in the music scene that have used straight backing tracks for and just played over their guitar over the shit that somebody else had created for them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's been notorious around here. It's like one of those things that people really shit on too. You know what I mean? Like, you're not really playing all of that. Somebody, there's been some pretty good squabbles in the music scene over that shit, like critiquing people and how they play,
Yeah.
Bands that have won accolades here with other people going, you know what? I wrote that shit they're playing over the top of. I've heard all kinds of stories about that.
Right.
But dude, if you want to keep playing, if you need to fucking, do all the drum tracks, you're still playing. You know what I mean? Like, why not? You're still bringing it out there.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth it. Does the music sound good? Cool.
The technology's there. Why not? You know what I mean? If you able to, MIDI select something or, start it when you start, why not?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's such a weird argument to make too, because like you look at all the top 40 songs in the U.S. right now.
Right.
Most of those people that those songs are released under, they didn't write those fucking songs. You know what I mean? So why are we arguing about like whether or not
I honestly don't think people know that much about music to say, you know what I mean? Like, musicians know that shit, right?
Yeah.
There's studio musicians. I've met a ton of studio musicians that have played on a ton of shit. I met a guy who played on fucking Taylor Swift shit. You know what I mean? The nicest guy ever. And he's like, yeah, we just came up with riffs. This was how this went. And you know what I mean? Like, we all got in the room and, hey, I've got this idea. This works here. That works there. You know what I mean? Small little snippets, like you said, riff here, riff there, put it all together. And
bada bing, bada boom.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's amazing. But it seems like people, turn a blind eye to it. Like, they're so surprised that it happens. Really? They didn't write that? You know what I mean?
I remember in college, like one of my last music business courses, we were talking about like just the industry in general, and there was a kid in my class that mentioned like, oh, I love Harry Styles. He doesn't use any autotune at all. And my teacher just goes, no, yeah, he does. and I mean, it doesn't mean as like a diss. Like, everybody uses that on their tracks, whether it be like, I feel like there was that stigma around autotune that it was like, T-Pain version of autotune, or
way cranked. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
the best kind, you mean?
Yeah. Well, that's what's so crazy about it, is that it's almost like reverb. What is reverb? You know what I mean? Like, it makes the room sound hollow. You know what I mean? Like, it adds. You know what I mean? Like, people don't realize that just those little tweaks, add depth to the sound. You know what I mean? And if you took it away, it's like, why does it sound so hollow? Why are these speakers not as, they don't sound as full?
Right. Yeah. It's like, how is that how is fine tuning like a line, a vocal line, not even to like fix like an issue in the performance, but maybe it just needs to sit a little bit better in the mix, you know?
Right.
Like the human voice, there are few people that can be so nuts on with the tuning of their voice. Like, yeah, they're gonna need a little bit of help just so they can match the synths and the instruments and everything else. It's like, how is that process any different than adding reverb to the room mics?
Well, you can imagine too, like they put those people, like you get the like a Justin Bieber, Harry Styles, those fucking dudes like that. They set them on these pedestals, right? You can imagine that these guys go out being young cats, go out and party with their buddies, and you're screaming and yelling at a party, and then they go into a studio thing. What is the easiest way with all of the technology right now? You know what I'm saying? Even if a guitar player is off a little bit on a day, you know what I mean? You can fucking adjust that shit to fit right where it needs to be. I guess if it the what the fuck is it? The attack of it might not be the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they can still tweak all of that. You know what I mean? Like reamping it. You know what I'm saying? Like this loop. Like, we don't like this sound, we'll just put it through this and this here and that there, and you know what I mean? Like, they can create everything from little pieces and snippets nowadays. You know?
Exactly.
That's crazy, man.
Anyways, this all felt like the Simpsons meme where it's like old man yells at cloud. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep, that's it.
That's what it is.
That's the one right there, man, for sure. Yeah. So now, creative. Now with this, you guys releasing this in December, right? So you guys must have a bunch of material, right? Just permeating. You've got little snippets, little pieces everywhere. You were saying that before.
anything from like 2-second riff ideas to full songs.
Oh, wow.
Full, like, ready to go. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So are you sitting on a whole nother album ready to go, or what?
We're working on it. No, I'm just kidding. I won't be like that. No, like more recently, we've been taking the steps and stuff to kind of construct our next release, if you will.
Yeah.
Being, potentially singles, EPs, 2 EPs, who knows? But no, definitely, like James was saying, there's complete songs and ideas.
A lot of ideas.
Yeah, and to be fair, James does a lot of, well, I would say all, if not most, of the writing for our band too. We do obviously come together and put our brains together, but that's the majority of it comes from this knocking over here.
Right.
So,
would you say that it is pretty much your baby when it comes to creative things? I mean,
I would say more that I lay the groundwork, but I've always wanted to try and be more collaborative, but for whatever reason, personally speaking, it's always been easier when I can just like bring a fleshed out idea straight to the table, and then you just kind of add like the flavors on top. Dallas will add his vocal lines, Chris will add some leads and some solos, but there have been some successful tunes made through collaboration for us, for sure. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. But if we were to be like, all right, Intrinsic, we need you to release an album in 6 months, get going. Yeah, I would be lying if I didn't say that the process would be easier if I was just like, all right, I'm gonna block myself in the room for a month, and then I'll crank it out. I'll make sure.
And the best part about it is that you've been playing with these guys long enough that they probably trust every move that you make. You know what I mean? I've talked to other people in bands and having that ability to connect with other. I always say that musicians speak their own language. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a synergy, a vibe that's out there that you will know what he's going to add to what you know what I mean? Like you probably have that in your idea, in your mind. Like, I know that he can do this. I know he can do it this way. This is my idea. What do you think about that? And then when he comes back with something that's right in that ballpark, you're like, yep, that's right where I figured he would be. That's killer. That's the best. I mean, it's going to get shit done. You know what I mean? If you need to get it done, that's the way to do it.
And it's not even just about like trusting that they'll like it too, but I also trust that they're going to be honest with me if they don't like a part, and that's where we can really hunch down and collaborate too. Right. But for right where we're at right now, I mean, I'm in a weird spot where I'm like, I do have some ideas that we can work with, but I feel like I'm still kind of weaning off the creativity from the writing process for the previous album. You know, right now, just if you were to, do a day in the life of James, at least in terms of when I'm playing guitar, it's mainly me just learning riffs to different bands, you know, just trying to improve my technique and then taking those tools and applying it to new music for us.
Right. Now I know we talked about this off air too. What I appreciate about you guys, the last song that we're going to play here too, is a really long. It's 10 minutes long, and you guys were talking about like figuring out ways to make songs longer, and like the first one was almost 8 minutes long as well, and I said to you guys off air, like, I really appreciate that because, there's a formula that's been, beaten into everybody who's a musician's mind. Like, it has to fit this structure of what the music, what record labels and radio stations have set for everybody since, forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it can't be more than, 3 minutes long. And then you have, Sweet Home Alabama, which is super fucking long, or, a Freebird or something, that's super long. Freebird is the one I'm thinking of. But that's the point is that you guys didn't try to jam something in a mold. You're just like, this is the single we're talking about. This is the best. You guys are saying, when I hit you up before the podcast, like, what 2 songs do you guys want to use? And it was like, which child do you pick as your favorite? You know what I'm saying? That's a difficult thing. You know what I mean? But not holding yourself to this little box. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is our single for our standards, and this is how it is. I think more people should think like that than trying to fit into, well, we want to get on the radio station. You know what I mean? Like listening to Mastodon, some of their newer stuff. Like you said, there's some stuff where you're like, yeah, that's a radio tune that they're trying to get on the radio. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where you listen to their older stuff, and that wasn't even a thought for them. You know what I mean? They're just creating this great proggy goodness, you know what I mean? Yeah. And not really trying to jam it into this little box. And I think that's where a lot of the Mastodon fans like then, or, back then, really, really appreciated that band. And I appreciate, a local band that's not trying to fucking jam themselves in this little box to appease someone else's radio friendly garbage. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's cool. So keep it up. Don't stick to your guns on that shit and create the shit the way you want to do it. You know what I mean? It's yours. Do it. Do what you want. You know what I mean?
I mean, like we were saying off air, we didn't want to be afraid to write long songs. I think also too it was about like trying to figure out song structures that work, that aren't necessarily just verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, right, and then end. But also, as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate like when that is done right, it fucking works.
It's catchy, and people will they'll go, I don't know what the name of that 4th song was, but they remember that 4th song. So when they come back to see you again, and you look at them and go, they go, oh shit, that's the song, or they look it up and they go, okay, this is so and so. What's the one you guys were talking about? You said it was your favorite song on this album.
Oh, Deva?
Yeah. So, they look at the album, they listen to it, they buy it, then that night they get it or download it, whatever, they find the tune and go, that's the one I heard that had me slamming that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they see you the next time, they're like, oh, this is the one we're playing. Yeah! They're in the background go, fuck yeah! And then they're up front fucking slamming around being crazy. That's the shit, man, You're sticking their hairs up on their arms because they're like, that's the one they connected with. And that always... I agree with you there, man. Even being in any sort of heavy shit, man, if you listen to music and you're a music fan, there's always that one song that you hate. You know what I mean? Oh, dude, when that song comes on and you start singing that shit verbatim, that's that formula that caught you. But if it's done right, you know what I mean? Your favorite song is in that formula too. You know what I mean? It's derivatives of that shit, you know what I mean?
You can do different twists on that same formula, and that's where you can get that nice between of like, I'm not adhering to the formula in a sense of like I need it to be, I'm not writing with that being the forefront. I'm just writing a song, but I also happen to have it in a way that's palatable for people to ingest.
Right,
they can resonate with it
for sure. Dude, that Coheed and Cambria shit, when you said that is a band that does that a lot too, that they have like little things that you would hear in a pop song, man. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that? And then the groove behind it, you're going, oh Jesus, man, this is just
riffs that
fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. One of my first Coheed albums was what was the Willing One, or no, Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, or whatever. And the last 4 tracks are they're like big, grandiose, like story driven, like all the same, whatever. And like, you know, they had Welcome Home on that one, which was like one of the first songs I ever heard. Super digestible, super poppy, super catchy. But that back half,
riff, dude, is stupid.
So good. But that back half, though, those were where they had those like 12-minute songs on that one, and just like these huge journeys of just like, you know, and the ending of it, you know, oh my gosh.
I remember the first time I heard that band, you know, I was like screen printing with this cat, and he listened to them, and he's like, dude, have you ever heard Coheed and Cambria? And a friend of mine was trying to turn me on to it, but the voice is what threw me off. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, it's whatever. And we're playing, or we're working, and he would just put it on. And it would just be periodic, you know, radio, Coheed, you know, and then he'd play a couple different albums. You know, he played, God, what was another one that he really like? My Chemical Romance, you know what I mean? Just different things. It was all over the place. But that Coheed stuff, it just grew on me, man. You know what I mean? And I work with some guys that are pretty like old school, you know. They listen to like the 80s new wave shit. The one guy, and he's kind of into techno. He likes Primus. There's like another dude who kind of likes old rock and roll. I kind of threw it in the mix just to see what they would do. And they're like, what is this? And I go, oh, it's Coheed and Cambria. It'll grow on you. Don't worry. Sure as shit, within a month, man, they're just sitting there, and you just, dude's just like tapping on the thing, and I go, catchy, isn't it? And then he's like, yeah, this band really grew on me. You're right. And I'm like, fucking right, man. See them live, and you will always be a fan. They put on a fantastic show, dude.
I was the only person to crowd surf when they came to town.
Really?
Oh gosh, yeah. I started that pit when Welcome Home came, dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I couldn't. All right, there was no one pitting the whole entire set. I was like, nope. Got to start one, and of course it's just a push pit. So I'm like, all right, well, get what you get.
Pit's a pit.
It's a pit, and then I jumped on top of somebody, got up and crowd surfed a little bit. That was awesome. I love Coheed.
Yeah. They're so much fun, man. They're so much fun. So talented, dude. God, they're so talented. And it seems like everybody that they pick up to fill the spots, the drummer that leaves and comes and goes, and the bass player that robs a fucking drugstore, you know what I mean? Like, you've heard that.
I've not heard any of
that.
Dude,
the guy, their main bass player, the guy that fucking was I think he was from the very beginning. I know he was like one of my favorite, he's a great bass player, got all strung out on fucking oxys because he was like, his body was just breaking down from playing these long shows, going on the road, waking up, you know, doing that whole rigorous routine. Got hooked on oxys, went into like a Walgreens, dude, and fucking robbed the place. Left, went to the fucking venue, got arrested at the venue because someone in the fucking drugstore recognized him as being the Coheed bass player.
Damn.
Yep. Look that shit up, dude.
Story.
Yeah,
Holy
man, that's
shit.
crazy.
I think our Veil group remembers something about that.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, this has got to be, I want to say close to 10 years ago now. But man, I was blown away by that. It was like, no way, dude.
I was listening to them by then for sure.
Yeah. So crazy, man. So crazy.
Yeah.
Just like you're in a famous band, man, and climbing, you know, those guys, you know, they were only supposed to do so many albums, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to keep doing cool shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why not, you know?
Oh yeah. Gosh, speaking of people like that too, I remember I used to go to this place called DC Music and Blaine. This is a little sidebar. Sorry, you talked about robbing the bank, but like, so it was Dan and Cindy's music and whatever, and so they had this thing where they, you know, have famous musicians. And I met the guitarist of like Chicago there, but specifically, I remember I met Zach Wilde there.
Yeah,
and this was back in his drinking days, like when he was heavy into it, and like his manager, tour manager, whatever was going on there, they were just like encouraging him. And like he was getting more and more drunk as the line went on, and like next thing you know, all I could see is like, who wants to see it? You know, who wants to whatever? And his manager literally slams him into this table. Like he's so drunk that he has his manager lift him up and slam him into this table in the middle of this, relatively big music star, and
Yeah.
everybody's just like, oh, all cheering. And then a couple of years later, I was like, oh, he's in rehab and recovering. It's like, oh wow, like.
I met him a bunch of times. I met Zach Wilde a few times. A friend of mine is good buddies with Mike Inez, who played in Alice in Chains, and he played with Zach Wilde. He played when I met Mike Inez, he was playing for Heart, and I seen Heart. I was on stage with Heart, like side stage with him, partied with Mike Inez. You know what I mean? I'm like, this dude played with Alice in Chains. He knew Lane Stanley. My buddy lived with him above the Rainbow Room. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. But meeting Zach was like exactly what you would think, a fucking big Nord, you know what I mean? He just looked like a barbarian, dude,
God, yeah.
This biker, berserker looking dude that you could see with an axe chopping people down, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He's a big dude, and he was like that. He's just bombastic as shit, like, whoa, really loud.
Yep.
I saw the other, just this week, they were, Blabbermouth made a big deal about Vince Neil using a teleprompter. It was like all over the fucking music news. Like, this guy's had enough, you know what I mean? Had enough drugs to kill 3 villages. You know what I'm saying? This dude is whacked out for years and years and years. And you're going to give him, Ozzy did sang from a teleprompter for many, many years. So they're giving him shit. I watched Zach Wilde at the Quest. I met him that night. He got wasted, but he had huge pieces of map board that had his lyrics written out by his in his fucking guitar tech. He'd run out there, he'd switch the song, and he'd point at the the title of the song. So he'd be standing there and he'd be talking to the crowd, and he'd look down and the dude would point at the title, and then he'd let him do it, and he'd grab the fucking card and he'd just throw it backstage. You know what I mean? That was ghetto as shit. You know what I mean? You're gonna give a guy a hard time. Now this is Zach Wilde, fantastic guitar player who's reading his fucking lyrics off a cue card. You know what I'm saying? I was like, mind your own business is hiring. You know what I mean? Like, fucking shut up and do your thing, man. Right. Hell yeah, dude. That's so now you guys are going to be working on some new stuff. Do you have any shows coming up like real soon?
Just the one on October.
October 4th.
Yeah.
October 4th?
Again with Fallujah and
Psychroptic?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple other bands. I can't remember exactly what the bill is.
Local bands?
I think they're touring bands.
They're all
actually.
touring bands.
Oh,
right now,
nice.
Yeah. So I think for right now, at least, we're the only local band on that bill.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Now, when it comes to having your ducks in a row, is this something that's like real important for you guys as far as like merch and having do you guys have CDs of your previous releases and things like that? You have all of your merch together?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, as a 4-piece, like you said, those
to bring a shirt. Fuck.
Those become, like you said, bills that you have to pay as a 4-piece, as opposed to being a 5-piece and having that extra money coming in or not getting paid. It's kind of one of those incentives for anybody who likes the band or wants to follow you guys to really. How can they get a hold of your merch if they could? How do you guys have websites? Do you have band
Absolutely.
camps?
We got a full band camp set up and all that too. I mean, we obviously have everything at shows.
Sure.
And I guess depending on living situations, I've never had a problem just dropping stuff off either.
Oh, awesome.
I live in Northeast, so I'm virtually going
anything local. You'd be willing to meet to get to
yeah.
make the transaction.
I mean, it's always cheaper that way too. You get
Yeah,
it a little
for
bit
sure.
faster because it's not going through the mail. You don't have to pay for shipping.
Yeah.
Right.
I literally just hit up Chris or the band on Facebook and just be like, hey, I just live over here. Can you just drop it off and we'll make that accommodation?
Right.
Seriously,
easier.
it's right on Central too, so I can anywhere I need to get, I get there.
Right. There you go.
Honestly,
man. There you go.
easier and cheaper for everyone involved. I remember you were saying that it cost just a boatload to ship that one
Oh my
thing out to
God.
Canada.
Ass load to send a freaking shirt and a CD.
Dude, I sent patches that were this big, and I had I want to say 20 of them, dude, and I sent them to England. It was ridiculous. I was like, dude, you got to pay $50 in shipping for a fucking envelope this big, you know?
What am I doing, filling up the plane with a gallon of gas here?
Right. Yeah, no shit, man. I was looking at some flights to New Mexico today, man, for August, and that shit's almost $600, dude. I was like, holy shit.
Right.
Everything
Yeah.
is stupid expensive.
Yeah, stupid expensive, man. Yeah. It doesn't sound like it's going to get any better either, man. You know?
Yet.
Yeah, right. Well,
Way of the
dude,
road, way she
I
goes.
appreciate you guys coming in. I'm not gonna keep you guys for the whole fucking evening. I know that's it's a Friday evening. You've probably got a lot of shit to do, but I appreciate you guys coming in and sharing
sleep. Are you kidding me?
and sharing your story about the band, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more from you guys. I'm going to be blasting this shit, and if it's okay, I'd like to play it on other dates too. If that's cool, awesome. Yeah. Thank you. I like to do some solo stuff and just talk about shows coming up, and make sure that you get me a flyer for this upcoming show or anything that you guys got going on. I really like you guys' band, so I'm always promoting shit. I'd like to help out. I also am, like I said, I'm doing some shows at Skyway Theater too. I'd like to get you guys on a show and try to work something out. Awesome, man. I'd really appreciate it. Rock on, brother, says Craig the Beard. Oh, he said, would these guys play with you outside the murder? Dude, I wouldn't torture these guys with that slow ass shit. Yeah, you heard what these guys create, right? The stuff I did was like fucking remedial compared to this stuff, man. Good stuff, though. I appreciate it, though. Craig's a fan of my old stuff, so he's like,
hell yeah, Craig.
Play that shit, you know?
Well, both Craig and his beard.
Yeah, dude, you got it. It's glorious. It's a glorious beard, man. The guy can rock it too. It's like when I met him, it was just this big thing, and then the next time I saw him was just a chin. He's like, dude, what happened to your beard? It's too fucking hot, man. Got to take it off. That's it.
No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Keep that stuff on. You know, kidding? I just get neck sweat.
Yeah.
That's all good. That's all good.
Yeah.
I unfortunately cannot grow a beard. If I try to grow facial hair, I look like that. I go to school, parent teaching conferences.
Just
don't have a
patchy,
kid.
little patchies.
I look like I'm like restricted from 1,000 feet from all like Chuck E. Cheese's.
I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. What's wrong? It's something that happened a long time ago. Don't ask.
It involves a ball pit, and they kicked me out. All right, chill.
Yep.
You are no longer invited to the St. Paul Public Library. I'm sorry.
All right, so we've got. Let me see here. Let's see if I can fucking fuck this up again. So we've got one last song. You guys want to say this? I feel like I'm going to fuck this up.
You got it.
You got it.
Mahamudra? Is that what it is? Mutra. Okay.
Mahamudra.
Now, where'd you guys get? What is this one about? And where did you guys get the name for this? And what does this beautiful, epic 27-minute song come from?
Only Dallas is here to answer that lyric one.
I don't know what the word means, to be honest. I know Dallas came up with all the names of the song, or most of the names of the songs, I should say, but he took care of everything in the second act of the album. So all of the like Hindu, Indian names.
There's a couple of them, right?
Yeah, the whole entire second act is nothing but that. And I believe they're like Buddhist concepts, if I remember correctly. I probably should know a little bit more about that because it's our song. But
dude, you're totally wrong. That was about murder. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's about a song that rips.
Well, the
it
whole
does rip.
It's a fourth wall breaking song. Yeah. It's just Dallas going, this fucking rocks.
Dude, I'm glad you let me play it because I was just sitting there listening to it, going, wow, this takes you on a journey, man. It's cool. It's cool. I like how you guys do put things together too, man. And you kind of use all types of different sound, and it's definitely a journey, man. I like it.
Yeah, and I would say a lot of our songs we do this, but I think this one more than others, the music matches the lyrics. You know what I mean? Like the story in this song. I mean, the story of the album is about a space or like a satellite engineer who gets jettisoned out in space because it blows up, and then he's stranded on a deserted planet. Something that's alien to him, and other things take place. You can kind of find out more if you listen to the album. Wink, wink.
Yeah, buy the album, check it out.
Yeah, figure out what happens next. But essentially, at this point in the album, like he's waking up and he's realizing that he's by himself, alone on a planet, and that's why you're going.
Wilson. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's about Tom Hanks and he's half naked running around.
Sorry, dude. I had to throw that out there.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in. You guys want to tell your websites or anything like that before we take off?
Oh, well, yeah. Intrinsic, Facebook, Bandcamp, Intrinsic Band.
I don't know what the HTMLs are, but I mean, you can find us. It's either gonna be Intrinsic MN or Intrinsic Official or Intrinsic Band Official. We always have some variation.
Yep, Google that shit. Google knows all.
It's us because it's gonna be three white dudes and a giant black guy, and we're just standing next to each other.
That dude, I'll say this, man. The first time I saw you guys play, that's the first thing I said to him was, "Dude, you got some fucking pipes on you, man." Yeah. And to hear him sing too, man, is like, big dude can sing. He's got some pipes on him.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yep.
Very grateful for Dallas.
Yeah. super gracious guy, really nice guy when I talked to him too. Very cool.
He was too modest. He was like, man, I'm not a very good talking personality. I shouldn't be one of the two to go to the podcast. It's like, that's fucking horseshit.
Right. Right.
Baloney.
Well, it's a perspective too. You know what I'm saying? Like I enjoy perspectives from everyone when it comes to that too. You know what I mean? Oh, big dudes can sing. Yeah, something like that. Spay and neuter your pets and train with guns. That's right, sir. Thank you very much, Bob Barker, Craig Barker. All right, we're going to listen to some tunes, let these guys get on the road. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to check out Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective. Lowbrow Saints over there in South Minneapolis, 612-353-4755. lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. We're going to go out to this badass tune. Enjoy a 10-minute epic journey of love and music, right? Something like that?
Something like that.
Take a listen. Folks, see you later. Thank you very much. Check me out, I think, next Friday, hopefully. Have a good evening. Peace out.
Slipping slowly, grasping for the branches, foolishly distracted, clutching, falling, screaming, falling, falling, falling. You are sinking. You are sinking. Drowning, falling away to the surface. Center yourself. There is no reason to fear. Displaced.